and now listening to Carve. You and now listening to Carve. You and now listening to Carve. You and now.
Yeah, Carve Radio, the vibe too strong, the type you never could deny whichever side you on. Yeah. That's why we writing these rhymes. These youngins get so in love with the shine. I still remind. We on it, it's my time. Yeah, I still remind.
Every day we on it, it's our time.
Carve Radio.
So it's the beginning of September and already we're well on our way to celebrating Heritage Month, and what better way to do that with a long-standing brand that celebrates heritage with a clothing brand that does so too. So today we're here to speak to Laduma Ngxokolo, who just partnered up with Tastic in celebration of Heritage Month. Congratulations about that. How are you doing? And thank you so much for speaking to us on Carve Africa.
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
Fantastic.
It's such an honor to be here, first of all, because with what's happening in the world right now, I could have been somewhere else. But we're here with you celebrating heritage, which is one of the things that's important in life that we underlook, but it keeps on feeding and taking us forward. I'm feeling great because it's not every day that you get a well-recognized brand pairing with a new brand. I still consider what I do fairly new because it hasn't reached out the masses yet, but Tastic has.
Yeah, well, you're saying it hasn't reached the masses, but so many people know you as that long-standing brand that is so unique in showcasing your own set of designs. So how does it feel for you to have so many accolades, not only from South Africa, but be recognized globally for how you stand out culturally?
For me, I'm not a superficial person, first of all. So, credibility, I look for credibility as close as the street next to mine at home in PE, where I come from. If someone that comes from my cultural background can actually commend or co-sign what I do and say, yo, this is speaking to us, that is more than enough. I don't need a public figure or an icon to co-sign what I'm doing because they don't know the sentiment of our heritage or our culture. My people do, so if you think that you've done justice to it, they my bosses basically. I'm not my own boss. So that's what's up.
So what I always wanted to know is what was that thing that made you say, I want to do clothing, traditional clothes that people can wear every day, because you know that every single time when there's a wedding or a cultural event, that's only when we see most people wanting to wear cultural clothing. Do you think that with your values or your vision in your company that more people are starting to draw towards this vision that you have as well?
I think in an ideal world, every human being wants to be beautiful every day. For me, I chose it to make it a reality, because we will only have about 60 years to live, What are you going to do in that space of 60 years? And there's no guarantee you'll reach 40, 50, 60. But the best you can do is be happy with the way you look, and make sure that when you are in a casket, at least you look the way that you want to look. But what is more important is life, man, and how you take every day and make it your best life. For me, my version of best life is looking the way that I want to, not the way that I am prescribed to look like. Yeah.
And that would be in cultural attire.
It would definitely be cultural attire. I could not think of a better way of looking. And I think it is the closest thing to my heart, because I could have gone and borrowed from Europe or from somewhere else in the world, but I chose to take from here at home.
Has it always been fashion? When you were a little boy, did you always see yourself as someone that is going to be a fashion extraordinaire like you are right now?
I've always seen that vision, because I've always thought about things in a crazy mindset. Like I've always looked at things like from a cartoon perspective where everything is possible and where magic is reality. So for me, sometimes it helps me mad because your madness drives you into reality. But being rational, makes you make peace with the fact that the world is like this and you will accept it that way.
And I mean, speaking of like crazy dreams, you just recently launched a new store at the V&A waterfront. And was that part of those things that you thought, okay, this is really a wild dream? I probably might not, but you did in the COVID.
Yeah, it is still surreal to today, even though we opened up like 2 months ago. Because it is only believable when you've looked at a certain benchmark and aimed for it and achieved it. Like we are aiming to be the benchmark that we hope that others will emulate and follow and achieve as well. So of course we are the guinea pig. It means that we have to be bulletproof, because in the day shots will be fired, whether we like it or not. But we have to make sure that for the sake of keeping up for the others, we continue pushing forward.
What's your creativity in reinventing this new collection? For every collection that you make, you come up with even more amazing designs. What goes into this process?
For me, I'll put it in the simplest way, which has been a recipe that I've been using for the past 10 years. I always recycle my hunger. I was hungry for more relevance of a culture within my own life. I was hungry for different kind of beauty, not the conventional beauty that is prescribed out there. I'm still hungry for a lot of things, and often sometimes you forget about your hunger, and you have to recycle it every season and every year. Yeah.
Wow. So for 2020, I know that you launching the store might not be the only thing that you have planned. What else can we look forward to?
For 2020, I feel like 2020 is done already, but nevertheless, we're not there.
You're in 2021?
2021 is an extension of 2020,
Okay.
or maybe it is the official 2020. We are just rehearsing for 2021. But for me, that is where my mind has been since the lockdown happened. But nevertheless, 2021 shows a promise of prosperity within the global space. People speak of a global success as an easily attainable achievement. It's not. The game is different offshore. Like you're not speaking about rands now, you're speaking about dollars and euros and yens. So your mind has to shift in a lot of ways. And but for me, the wildest dream that I like to achieve is to create jobs, because at the end of the day, I can do what I do, but still outsource what I do from China. And that doesn't do good for my people. What would do great for my people is to create more jobs and inspire more people to be educated, because that is the only way we can realistically sustain our society.
Speaking of education, when it comes to this Tastic campaign that, you've recently launched today, there's a lot of works of education involved. Break it down for us and just let us know what are some of the projects that you're going to be unpacking.
Some of the projects that we'll be unpacking are in the Eastern Cape. I've got a fashion council where I mentor young aspiring designers. We're going to be working with them and try to accelerate some of their aspirations. And we will also auction a rug where we will take the highest bidder and donate those proceeds to organizations that are mentoring designers or entrepreneurs in different spaces. So those are some of the initiatives that Tastic is looking to do as part of this initiative.
Do you see yourself collaborating with other disciplines within the art medium or other brands within the art space?
Definitely do. I've been, but the collaborations that I enjoy the most are the unpredictable ones, because with fashion, people box in the fashion with certain things that one can do. So I constantly look for what is unexpected. It is difficult to find people who can come up with that certain level of perfection that we like. But yeah, we keep looking. People keep sending us requests, but we take time to make our decisions.
I believe this month you did something with Kitty Petla, right?
No,
Wasn't it Kitty Petla who did the ballerina who was dancing like in the jungle?
no, no.
Okay, you are not okay. So I guess it wasn't a partnership.
It was a beautiful performance, though.
Yes.
I don't know what makes you think that, but we wouldn't mind doing something with her, because
Okay.
it is an artistic piece that is greatly appreciable.
Yeah. So you would look into dance as a medium of collaboration.
Absolutely. Greg Mangoba is one of the dancers that we've been talking to.
Okay.
Unfortunately, COVID happened. Yeah.
So how did you deal with the blows and the restructuring of how you had intended 2020 to be if there wasn't COVID-19 in the mix?
2020 was a dream year, as you know from a lot of people that had the vision 2020. But in any instance, you anticipate for the downhill. This was one of them, but it was more steeper than any other we've anticipated. Every business saves for a rainy day. We are one of them. And any anticipation that you did, now you have to be conservative, because if you anticipated 100, you have to settle for 30. It was that type of we aim for the moon, but landed on the stars, and we're not complaining.
Is there a new collection coming up for this coming season?
Yeah, on the 16th of September, we're doing a virtual show. New York Fashion Week. Once again,
Congratulations.
but
Once again.
but unfortunately, it's gonna be virtual. So it's one of those things that you have to over accentuate, because you never know what the outcome will be. Yes,
What goes into that? Do you guys create like models and get them to model and you send through the video and then they get to play it on their end? What is the process of having like fashion on a digital space?
How did you know?
I'm asking.
You said it right. Like,
Okay.
you don't need me to answer that. You just precisely said perfect there. You pre-record, get models to walk, send a video, and they play it on the, like, precisely on the scheduled time. Not 1 hour later, like African time, like precisely. So if you're late, don't bother even logging in.
And I know that the SA Fashion Weeks are about to kick off as well. Are you participating in any of those shows?
Nah, too cool for that. I'm playing. No, we've never done SA Fashion Week before. We used to do AFI, Africa Fashion International. In fact, we did a virtual one, March, on the last week of March, ne? Like a week after COVID hit in Mzansi. We got a few hits, If we knew there was going to be a case, we would have gone out there and marketed online.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, who knows who COVID is? We don't even know who COVID is to today. But at least we are prepared for COVID for next week, for 16th September.
So now that you have 2 flagship stores or boutique stores already in South Africa, where do we see you next? Which other province are you going to take over?
None. I'm interested to go to East or West Africa. That's one of my priorities. I know PE is my hometown, but at PE I'll probably do the most special thing I've ever done in my life for it, but not now. People always complain, but rather later than never. Maybe USA. That's the dream.
So by saying that you're stalling or taking a bit more time to do the one that you want to have in your hometown, would it be because you want it to be bigger than what it or could live up to at this point, or what you can do right now?
I feel like you should be doing this interview yourself because you're saying the things that I you're saying the things that I am supposed to say. Yes, CPE, like ideally we want to do something that's more special than Joburg. Thank you for making me break the news, but I think PE is worthy of that, because it's the Eastern Cape, is where I started, it's where I grew up. And just a boutique will be almost a naive placement. Yeah, well? So we're trying to find the best way to approach it, and hopefully whichever way we approach it, it becomes something sustainable. Because I hate it, that last for 3 years and 5 years. Rather, it lasts 50 years plus and die after that than short-term lived. Yeah.
And let's talk about the design that you have on the Tastic package. What went into that? What references did you take from which collection, or how did you pull in some of the vices into what we get to see on the package?
With a package of this Tastic gig, I went back to beadwork. As you know, MAXHOSA is mainly referenced from traditional Xhosa beadwork, but not the ones that are at small streets or on the street or street vendors. No, not the made in China ones. The ones that were made by our ancestors. They are special zona specifically because they are made out of good quality beads. They are made in elegant designs, even though they didn't have pen and paper or pencil and paper at that time. They are made with love and more pride. So we took them and modified them and did a pack of heritage Tastic pack. Because beads is something that is one of the most popular artifacts in the continent. Whether you go to Kenya, the Maasai tribe has it. If you go to Yoruba in Nigeria, they have that reference. If you go to Rwanda, you find beads. To Egypt, and a lot of places in Southern Africa. Beads are something that are special to us, and for me, I thought it was a no-brainer, to take it that far back.
Thank you so much for speaking to us on Carve Africa. We really appreciate your time and sharing so much about your future ventures. We appreciate you and thank you and congratulations once again.
Appreciate it.